Hello and welcome to episode 460 of Fergo on the Freak. I'm the bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. And join me as always is the glorious LeagueFreak. You can also find on Twitter at LeagueFreak. How you going there, mate?
Going pretty good, Andrew. How are you?
Yeah, not too shabby, not too shabby.
Yeah.
You know, all the footy's almost basically over. I think there's a few random internationals popping up here and there before the end of the year, but it's time to relax. And no, it's not. I'm busy. I've got a rugby league annual to put out now.
Yeah. I guess that's coming up. They had the South American, I guess it was a championship. Brazil won that, so they go into the qualifying group for the World Cup.
Yep.
Against basically USA, Jamaica, and Canada. I think they should have just qualified straight through, but the International Rugby League doesn't value South America as much as I do. And I think there's another one. I'm not sure where the other championship is, but it might be in Asia somewhere.
It could be, yeah. I know they've got one that will be running in Asia. They'll be having, is it 2 or 3 in Europe? I think they've got Euro A, B, and C. And I think in the past, the winner of Euro C qualified to play in Euro B. The winner of that played in Euro A, and I think the top teams in Euro A went through to the World Cup. Or some weird thing like that. Whether that's still the process or not, I don't know. But something was they're talking about World Cup the whole way through. We can work on that.
Yeah, I guess it's a step in the right direction.
That's right. Now, Buzz has been busy.
Yeah, he's been putting some opinions out there. Probably a bad thing, to be honest, when you look at them.
Yeah, you know what? I'll rock solid that up and just say it's definitely a bad thing.
Yeah.
The less he writes and speaks, the better for his integrity.
Yeah, when you write about rugby league and it's clear you don't know about rugby league, it's a problem, I find.
Yeah.
And this is, probably example A.
Absolutely. He also gave us example B as well. So he's been busy.
Well, should we start with the forward packs?
I think we should. That's the one that everyone knows at the moment. It just came out the other day. Buzz has ranked all of the forward packs for next year.
Yeah.
From best to worst. Wherever you think, with unbelievable logic and knowledge, you think your team is, guaranteed he's not put them in that position.
100%.
He's got these all wrong. I think he's just drawn them out of a hat.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Or maybe
it's really unbelievable.
Maybe he's just drawn them out of a stein glass.
I wonder if there's a point where, someone goes up to him and says, look, we need to generate something. We need to get some clicks or something like that. Can you write something that's really wrong?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, I can do that. That's pretty easy.
Mate, hands down, I've got this.
Yeah. And to be honest, if that was the outline, he nailed it.
Absolutely. So, when people think of the 2 best defensive teams of let's say the last 3 years,
mm-hmm.
you think Penrith and Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
Except if you Buzz, you don't.
Well, here's the thing. Like, Melbourne have lost the Bromwich brothers. Big losses. You know? They've gone to the Dolphins. I think that's going to affect them.
Absolutely.
And look, Penrith have lost Kickow and they've lost Coruscant. But I think it's fair to say that the Panthers pack, especially when you put their depth in, is still clearly the best pack in the game. They've added Garner to the mix. He was a very good player for the Tigers. It's a shame they couldn't keep him.
Well, they could have.
Well, they could keep all of the players they lose, technically, couldn't they?
Yeah, and I don't think it would cost much.
No, but why would you do that?
Yeah.
It just makes no sense.
Some players are greedy and want success.
Yeah. But it's hard to get my head around. To think that the Panthers are going to have the 6th best forward pack in the NRL next year is just wrong. And it doesn't take into account anything at all.
No, none at all. He's got Cowboys at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
You can make an argument for that. They've got Tomalolo. They've got Cotter. Pretty much.
I can make a pretty good argument for the Cowboys possibly being number 2, right?
Yeah. But their forward pack is, look, we're not going to say they're bad.
It's great.
But
yeah.
he's got them at the right end of the table, that's for sure.
True.
But when you've got a team like Penrith who have been defensively the best side for the last 2 seasons at least, they have to be at number 1, regardless of the odd loss that they've had.
Yeah, and we just saw, I mean, in their last game, they absolutely annihilated one of the supposed best packs in the game. Got to take that into account as well.
That's right.
And, you know, I just, it's insane. I don't know how you could in any way get to that conclusion.
No, it's got me beat. Roosters at number 2.
I think the Roosters pack is overrated. I think their results show that.
Yeah, look, according to this list, they're definitely overrated. I don't rate the Roosters pack badly, but I don't rate them as the second best in the comp.
No, I would rate the Roosters pack probably middle of the field.
Somewhere down and around where he's got Penrith and Melbourne.
Yeah, around there, yeah.
He's got South at number 3.
South's pack did pretty well considering last year. It wasn't the strongest part of their lineup, but they still made the semis.
They've got a very good attacking pack.
Yeah.
They just smash holes through teams. Very hard to contain. So, in that sense, definitely a top forward pack. Defensively, though, because there's a lot of huge bodies there, the lateral movement of that defensive side can be lacking, especially later on in games. And your much faster teams, especially teams that have got that speed on the edges of the ruck, they can get around them.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often, but it happens enough, and it's enough to stop South being, in grand finals and winning premierships and stuff.
Yeah.
Canberra at number 4. That was a bit of a bolter for me.
Yeah, definitely. They've got 2 quality forwards there at least. The rest of them, I think, are overrated. Highly overrated.
Yeah. Just Whitehead and Papalia carrying that pack so much.
Yeah. It's, the rest of them, look, if the Raiders were as good as the Raiders thought they'd be, but they're just not.
Number 5, the Broncos.
The Broncos, I mean, they're inconsistent, and that's probably something that you can't have if you're a top forward pack. They will get better because they're a young forward pack, but
they're not a top 5 forward pack.
I wouldn't say so either. I'd say they're about middle of the table.
Yeah. I'd put them down around 8, 9, somewhere there.
Yeah.
As we discussed, Penrith at 6, Melbourne at 7. As you mentioned, Melbourne have had a few losses of what they lost, both Bromwiches and Felice Kafusi. Felice, though, I don't find is too big of a loss.
No, he's more a player you'd put out to pasture anyway.
Yeah, I think the biggest loss there, and this might be a bit of a surprise for some, is actually Kenny Bromwich.
Yeah, same here.
Guy is an absolute just defensive wall, and he runs such beautiful lines out on the edges out there, and huge motor on him. I put him up there, very similar raps on him as I do with Tohu Harris. Not going to do you a lot of flashy stuff, but man, he works his backside off and does all of the hard work that you need your forwards to do.
Yeah, and become a really good attacking weapon out wide for them and was a real handful for most teams. Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's the bigger loss. And that's the thing about like the Dolphins. They've got an older pack, but they've got some performers in there. Like I think they'll be solid. I don't think they'll be spectacular.
No,
but they'll be solid.
that's right. They're going to be a lot better than what Buzz thinks.
Yeah, I agree.
Number 8, Parramatta, which I think is also a bit low. Not by much, but just a little bit low. I think the forward pack has been their standout part of their side.
Yeah, next year, like they've lost Papali. He's gone to the West Tigers, and they've lost Reid Marnie. He's gone to the Bulldogs. But I would still say they're at least top 5. Like their forwards are their strength by far.
Yeah. Everything they do comes off the back of their forwards. Even when they look like they're struggling a little bit in attack, there's an awful lot of that Flanagan coach sort of Sharks thing where they grind out wins and it's all done through the forwards. It's not done through skill out wide or anything like that.
Yeah, except for the extras.
You can only do that with a good forward pack.
Yeah, except for the extras that Flanagan's teams had.
Yeah, that aside.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Sharks, he's got them at 9.
I would have the Sharks pack in the top 5 just on how hard they work.
Yeah, their forward rotation.
Yeah, it's the overall rotation. Yeah,
they've got so many big men for the middle. They started playing one in the centres last year. They've got so many big forwards. You can't put a team with a pack that's that mobile and put them at 9th for Christ's sake. That's ridiculous.
Crazy. Yeah, really crazy.
Yeah, I legit can think that Penrith, Melbourne, Parramatta, and probably South would be the only packs I can think of that would be better than the Sharks one.
Yeah, with the possibility that the Sharks could very well leapfrog a few of those teams. It's going to be interesting to see if the Sharks take a step forward next year or if they're about the same. And if they're about the same, that's almost like taking a step back. They were really ahead of expectations this year. And that worries me a little bit about them. But, their forwards were fantastic, I thought. They ran out of steam a little bit towards the end of the year, but they were great.
Yeah.
They were really good.
No, they were very good. Number 10, Bulldogs.
They've added Marnie. They've added Kickout.
That helps.
That does help. I would they're another team around the middle of the pack is about right, I think, for them.
He's got this one nearly close to where it should be.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'd probably have them a little bit higher, but, I'm not going to complain about it. When you look at the other ones, as you say, they're about right.
Yeah. 11, Manly.
Oh, man, I don't see this one. I'd have them probably in the bottom 5.
Yeah, they're some of their recruits, especially like Josh Alloway, who'd been playing really well at the Tigers up until that final season, should be kicking on and doing a lot better, and they're plateauing.
Yeah, like you take Jake Trebojevic out of that side. They've got the big fella. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
That Paseka?
No. I can't remember his name. I would have picked him for State of Origin. I can't remember.
Oh, is that Ola Kowatu?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think he's a fantastic player.
He's a beast.
Yeah, but the rest of them, you could keep the rest of them.
Yeah. Number 12, the Knights.
Well, a disappointing forward pack that
they've lost Clemmer.
Yeah, they lost their disappointing leader.
They've lost Clemmer.
Look, I'm going to say not too far from where you would think.
Yeah, I think he's probably inflated them a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Speaking of inflated, Tigers at 13.
Well, First of all, if he was taking the piss, he would have put them ninth. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing this properly.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say the worst forward pack in the game.
Look, they were last year. This upcoming season,
they added Clemmer. They lost.
That does. Would you say that Clemmer at the moment's an improvement on Tamo? I'd say very mildly, yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
Only because he's younger.
Yeah, they've got that same level of indifference about their performance.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, Clemmer has got a bit of youth on his side, so there is that.
There's a chance he could get better.
Yeah. They lost Peachy, which
Tigers weren't using him properly anyway, so that doesn't
exactly. And Luke Garner, like he was playing out in the centres, so
yeah, and they picked up Papali.
Yeah, true. There is that.
They did lose Lailua. Would have been good if they'd have kept Lailua and Garner.
Mm-hmm. And then added Papali to that. That would have been good, but why would you do that? That makes total sense.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem.
I don't see why you do that. Yeah.
Then you could have 12 as part of the front row rotation instead of starting at lock.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bit of ball playing skills. Well, it would have been nice, but anyway, they're not. I wouldn't say they're the worst, but I'm not putting them. I don't know if I can put them at 13th just yet. There's been a few changes, but they need to start showing that they. And obviously, Coruscant's there as well, but they need to.
Yeah, true.
We need to see some performance first. I think it's too many changes there, and
I would say this, right? Coruscant, Papali, okay. Everyone else there, I would take the Panthers reserve grade team, the New South Wales Cup.
The only other one is Utica Manu, young prop forward.
I need more consistency out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's one of those guys where you can't just say he's got potential. We've seen what he can do.
Yeah.
We know the potential's there. We've seen it. It's about getting it out of him every week.
Yeah, he's one of those players that I just worry that, sometimes you see a player and they could do something and they're just in a team where it just fades away.
Well, yeah, when you're in a team full of, failure,
mm-hmm.
It's easy to go, well, what's the point of trying too hard if we know we're going to lose?
Yeah. You'll learn bad habits, things like that.
Yeah, and laziness is rewarded by constant selection.
Yeah.
And, whenever the Tigers dare to get a coach who drops players, we'll fucking sack him.
Well, it's a new era.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're into new era number 2 now. Number 14, the Titans.
I think the Titans are a bit too low.
Yeah, their forward pack on paper is a lot better than 14th.
True.
And on performance, a little bit better.
Just a little bit better, yeah. The concept of the Titans is really good, hey?
Yeah, it's brilliant on
in
paper,
theory,
mate.
Yeah. If we played games on paper, they'd be a very good team.
They'd have won a few premierships by now.
Mm.
Yeah. 15 Warriors.
I would have them second last.
It's disappointing. There's so many great great forwards are coming from the whole Pacific Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And the Warriors seem to be picking none of them.
Yeah, none of them playing for the Warriors.
It's like the recruitment guy for the West Tigers is also working for the Warriors. I mean, how's he doing 2 jobs at once? It's impressive.
The Warriors can we say that the Nathan Brown hangover is potentially worse than the Matthew Elliott hangover for a club?
I don't know. Because I know I've discussed it before. I think the thing with the Nathan Brown one is it seems to be, I don't know. I think a mindset creeps in, which you can get rid of, everything's unstable because he does take a broom to places. Yeah, and that instability tends to make people concerned and worried about whether they're going to be keeping their job or not, and so they're a little bit tentative because of that. Whereas the Matthew Elliott one was just one of mediocrity.
Yeah, and
And he didn't set anything. He didn't put a broom through places. He didn't fix things up. He just made things worse and then just drifted off down the road selling tablewares in his little van on the side of the road.
Making special tea. Selling wind chimes.
Oh, he loves the wind chimes.
Yeah.
Dream catchers.
Yep.
He loves that stuff.
Look, the thing I will say about Nathan Brown is he goes into clubs that are in poor situations, completely devastates them, and then leaves. But at least while he's there, he's a complete arsehole.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't hide from it.
Yeah.
He doesn't hide from it. But as I said, the one thing he does do, which those clubs do need, is a broom put through him. The thing is, once the broom's put through, these clubs then hang on to him to start the recruitment process, and that's the wrong move.
Yeah, but
get him in with the broom, let him do his broom work, then fuck him off, then get someone who knows how to build a club and get them to do the recruitment. That's how you make use of Nathan Brown.
But this is how Nathan Brown does it. Nathan Brown goes to a house that's a fixer-upper and burns it to its foundations and then sort of goes, job done. And then nothing else happens.
No, well, then the clubs come up to him and say, here, we've got a few pieces of leftover wood that didn't get burnt. Can you build us a new house now?
And he can't do it.
Well, no, he can't, but he has a crack.
He tries. He sort of puts one on top of the other and says, I think I've done it. How about the fact
that's pretty good.
How about the fact somebody at Parramatta paid him to do a review of the club before the season was finished? And he said there's nepotism and there's all sorts of problems and that. And then they make the grand final. He's a fucking idiot.
Why would you get him to do a review?
I don't know. Unbelievable.
That's nuts. The Dolphins at 16, which seems to me very low.
Yeah, I'd put them a little bit higher than that.
I know that they've got let's call them an experienced pack.
Mm-hmm.
But for the first two seasons, that's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And Wayne Bennett, the one thing that he does do well is he does build good forward packs. Mm-hmm. So the people he's got together, he's got specific people for specific roles. He knows how to make that work. I don't think that forward pack at the Dolphins is going to get out-muscled or pushed around too much. I think they're going to hold their own in a lot of games. What they're going to struggle with is creativity in the halves and scoring points out wide. And that's not on the forwards.
Yeah, true. Look, I think that they're probably a few spots too low. Like, I think that they'd be a better pack than the Knights pack, to be honest.
I'll put them above Sea Eagles, to be honest.
Yeah, I would too. I think that that's a fair call.
And then at the end, he's got the Dragons.
Yeah, they're probably one of the worst packs in the game. That's fair. Like, I'd have them bottom 3 packs in the game.
Yeah. So, good work, Buzz.
He did really well on, 2 or 3 of them?
Yeah.
But all the other ones were terrible.
It's a dog's breakfast of that. Yeah, on to more Buzz work.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, 2 weeks ago? 1 week ago? He put out his top 50 players of the 2022 season.
Yeah, now, honestly, I haven't looked through these much at all. So I thought what we could do is we could say if we generally felt that a player was probably a higher standing in the game or lower standing in the game, but if we feel as though they're within 5 or so, we say that's about right.
Yeah. So this is not who he thinks are the 50 greatest players in the game right now. I believe this is his top 50 players of the 2022 season.
Okay.
All right. So just to be clear, so it's just based on what happened this season.
Mm-hmm.
So number 1, should we go number 1 or should we go from number 50? We should go from number.
Okay, go from number 50.
Let's do number 50.
Okay.
Number 50, Daly Cherry Evans.
I think he probably is a bit higher than that. Like,
well, he's listed him as a top 4 halfback, and I wonder if he's got more than 3 halfbacks in front of him on this list.
Yeah,
I can see one.
There's one, straight away. would rate him as the second best halfback in the game. Like, can you think of too many halfbacks that are better than Cherry Evans?
Not really, no. I think a lot of people hate on him for some reason.
Yeah.
I know he struggled at Origin level for a little bit when he was filling in for Cronk. But I think it's because the sort of halfback that he is the type that needs to be in control of the game. He's not the one that sits on the back seat. And when he was playing Origin, when he was replacing Cronk, he was beside Thurston, who would control things.
So I think he's not too bad at sitting back.
He's got better at it, but yeah. Right now, though, I think there's only Cleary that's better than him.
Yeah,
and even still, it's close.
Yeah, and there's plenty of games where if Cherry Evans wasn't playing well, the Seagulls were absolutely no chance. So I would definitely put him higher than 50.
Number 49, we've got Angus Crichton.
He was pretty disappointing at times this year, hey?
Yeah, I thought he was pretty quiet. There was a few, when the Roosters got on a roll and started winning some games, he started looking for the ball a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And when he started doing that and sort of running, not just on the same line all the time, started moving off his normal corridor and looking for the ball a bit more, got very, very damaging very quickly. But didn't really do that so much when the Roosters were struggling.
Yeah, I'm going to say he should be lower.
Yeah, I think so. Number 48, Ruben Cotter.
This is a difficult one because at the start of the year, I don't think many people would have thought he'd be a top 50 player. And he got, he played great in the Origin series. He played well to end the season in general. I'm pretty happy with him at 48, though. I'm happy with that.
I'd put him a little bit higher.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the development in the game and how quickly he improved, even from round one, insane.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's now taken the Cowboys from being a team with one genuine forward to now, they've got two,
Yeah. I think the thing he has to act like, he feels like he's more of a shock trooper at this point, and he needs to just add more minutes to his game and make a more consistent impact across the game.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Number 47, Adam Reynolds.
Look, when you consider that when he played for the Broncos, they looked 1,000 times better than when he was missing. But then you've got to factor in, like, when he was missing it was terrible for them, how much do you weigh those games you didn't play against him? I would say he's way better than 47.
Yeah, I generally have him comfortably above 47.
Yeah.
The Broncos were a real Jekyll and Hyde side when he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
When he was playing, they looked more often than not capable of beating anyone. And when he wasn't there, they looked like that team that won the Spoon a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't often see a player have that severe of an impact on a team. Think Tom Trebojevic last year at Manly.
Yeah, I think comfortably in the top 20, very comfortably.
Yep. Number 46, Alex Johnson.
This is a tough one. Like, how do you rank a winger? He's one of the best finishers in the game. So,
absolutely.
But I'm comfortable, 46.
Yeah, I'm happy with him being there. I think he was the first player to score 30 tries in back-to-back seasons.
Yep.
So yeah, one of the more prolific try-scoring wingers out there. So I'm happy for him to be in the top 50 and at the in this region here.
Yeah, when your job is scoring tries and you actually do it very consistently, can't argue with it.
It's crazy to think that they were thinking about getting rid of him a year or two ago.
Yeah, like, I would have been
Just
really
nuts.
upset if that happened. I'm so glad he stayed.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a phenomenal winger, very, very good at what he does. And as we saw in the World Cup, he's more than capable of playing at fullback as well, which is a handy thing to have when you've got, Latrell Mitchell was struggling with injuries and whatnot during the season. It's good to have someone as handy as Alex Johnson on the wing who can just slot in at fullback and still score tries.
Yeah, I think isn't the story that when they were negotiating his contract, and I think Wayne Bennett was still there, and he gave a note to Wayne Bennett, and the note basically said, "Look, it was my dream to play for South Sydney. I don't want to leave. Can we please sort this out?" And so they sorted it out.
Yeah, that was him, and it's I'm glad that came to be that way.
Yeah. Also, one of the smartest players in the game too.
Very much so. Number 45, Keon Koloamatangi.
I don't know about this one because part of me feels like the impact he has on the game, it warrants where he is. But then another part of me thinks that, like, I'd like him to be more consistent. And I feel as though if you're in the top 50, you've got to be more consistent. Like, he can make a massive impact in a big game, but he can also be very quiet.
Yeah, sometimes I watch him and I think, I'm not sure anyone knows whether he should be a front rower or a back rower.
Mm-hmm.
Because he can play both.
Yeah.
But I wonder if he'd be better suited to just being an all-out front rower, not at lock, but an actual front rower, part of a front row rotation, so that you just keep him as being 100% explosive the whole time. Kind of like there's a bit of Andrew Fafita about him in his prime. Has a little bit of that X factor about him. Has a good step. Has some good ball skills, good offload on him. But also has that size where he can just ram a hole right through you as well at the same time. And I don't think I'd want him playing huge minutes. I'd want him in like one or two spurts every game and just be an absolute X factor and just dominate through the middle.
Yeah, because he can break a game open.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. Like the consistency will come as he gets more experience as well.
Yeah.
So, but I feel as though I'm happy with him being there.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. 44, Campbell Graham.
I'm a big fan of Campbell Graham, but I think
Likewise.
this is high.
Likewise.
Yeah.
I think he should be. I think this ranking's too high. I think he should be down in the 20s or 30s somewhere.
What do you mean? I mean that I think that this is too. I think that he should be outside the 50.
Outside the 50.
I mean. Yeah, outside of it. Yeah.
No, I think the other way.
I think that he's a good solid first grader, and that's not top 50.
Yeah, I don't know.
What I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
is that you were wrong.
I know. What I'm saying is there's an awful lot of the. I'm not saying they're the same, but play wise, skill set wise, an awful lot of Isaiah Yeo about him. Yeo is obviously better. Don't get me wrong, but there's a similarity in the size, the work rate, what they offer in attack. Skill set is very similar, and I like that. I like that in a lock forward sort of guy. I want someone who's more than just another prop. And he does have that motor on where he can play 80 minutes, that sort of stuff. But I think the difference between him and Yeo is ball handling skills are not as good, and can overplay his hand a few times.
I think he's a really solid first grader.
You've got him as a Liam Fulton.
Not a Liam Fulton, but I don't think he's top 50 player. I think he does a good job for South. You know, he's not going to tear you apart. I know he played for Australia, but I think that was more a case of his size and versatility. You know, at a stretch, you could put him into the pack, play him out in the centres. But, you know, I wouldn't have him in the top 50.
That's fair. And the next four, I think I'm just going to leave these for you to discuss. So number 43, Regan Campbell-Gillard.
Soft, outside the top 50.
Agreed.
So soft.
42, Reid Mahoney.
I thought he was really inconsistent this year, hey?
He was.
Yeah. What about his rating? Potentially, he's fine.
I'm happy with him being there.
Yeah.
41, Scott Drinkwater.
I think he's probably a couple of hundred places too high. he's so devastating to the Cowboys.
Yeah. Would you have him one spot lower or higher than number 40, Clint Gutherson?
Well, Gutherson is just a run-of-the-mill first grader. He's hundreds of places too high.
Okay. Who's better, Gutherson or Drinkwater?
I think Gutherson. He doesn't fuck up like Scott Drinkwater does.
Who's better, Gutherson or Graham?
Oh, Graham.
Right, okay. We just got to get those in the right order.
Yeah. Graham is not a top 50 player, and Gutherson's not a top 100 player, in my opinion.
Number 39, Isaiah Papali.
I think this is a little bit too low on this list for him. I think he should be higher up.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he was absolutely fantastic for the Eels.
Yep.
A game breaker, but also very, very consistent. I'd love to see him kick on a little bit next year and become one of the best forwards in the game overall.
That would be very good to see. 38, Dylan Brown.
You know what? Before the final series and before the World Cup, I would have said this is too low down the list. But after being completely non-existent in the grand final, and his World Cup was garbage, like complete garbage, I would say that this is about where I'd have him.
Yeah, look, I'd probably still have him a little bit higher, only because he did have to carry Mitch Moses, who went missing for half the season again. And Parramatta didn't lose that many games because of it.
Dylan Brown, at this stage, regular season specialist. Are we looking at the modern day Jason Taylor?
Oh, well, Dylan Brown has skill.
Oh, it wasn't on show in the grand final or at the World Cup.
No, it wasn't, but it has been on show.
In the regular season.
Yeah. How long do you think a Jason Taylor highlights reel that doesn't include goal kicking would go for?
Not too long.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a pretty good organizer, though.
Yeah, apparently. Not when he's a coach.
Yeah, well, look, his coaching doesn't have to do with his playing ability.
No, but even still, he wasn't that tremendous of a halfback. Not bad, just consistent, reliable, but didn't give you anything freakish or outlandish.
True.
Couldn't pull a play out of somewhere just to get your team over the line.
Look, Dylan Brown has many years of football ahead of him, right? Mm-hmm. He's a young bloke. I am a fan of his, right? All I'm saying is that in the big games that I saw him play this year, he was non-existent. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. 37, Api Coruscant.
Oh, man, this is a difficult one. He's one of the better hookers in the game, so I guess that would say that he's a little bit low on this list.
I'd have him quite a lot higher.
Okay. I'd have him a bit higher.
36, Victor Radley.
Oh, that's way too high. For a guy that gets suspended all the time, and he had a terrible season. It was so inconsistent. It looked like he was getting worn down by, doing the grunt work, because he's not the biggest forward in the game. I just think this is way too high.
I'd probably have him sitting just on 50.
I would probably have him between 50 and 100.
Number 35, Brian Tu'o.
I think that's way too low on the list for a guy that
Way too low.
makes hundreds of meters every game and does it in the games that matter as well. Is maybe better in the games that matter.
He's a top 20 player.
I think that's fair to say, yeah.
34, Hudson Young.
I don't have him in the top 150. I can't believe he's there.
Buzz said he's desperately unlucky not to make Australia's World Cup team.
No, he wasn't. He's just overrated.
33, Sean Lane.
Nah, I have him outside the top 50.
Had a dynamite season for the Eels and could quite easily have made the World Cup.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I thought he was very inconsistent this year. I thought last year he was better. He had moments towards the end, but nah, he's not in the top 50.
Okay. The only Cronulla player in the entire list. That's a fucking surprise. 32, Nico Hines.
Nico Hines going on this season.
Yeah, it's just this season.
By the way, keeping in mind he won the Dally M medal.
Exactly.
32 is way too low.
Yeah, he was the top 10 player this year.
Yes, 100%.
It's fucking stupid that he's got the only Sharks player in this whole draw. The only one's Nico Hines. He's putting him outside the top 30. I fucking flabbergasted at that. It's so mentally stupid. And that's the team he watches all the time.
Yeah.
That's the best he could come up with, one player. And I get the feeling maybe he's done that to just try and make it look as though he wasn't being biased. But, I mean, come on. Everyone was expecting the Sharks to finish outside the 8 this year.
Mm-hmm.
You don't finish in the top 4 by fluke.
No. You don't win the Dally M by not having a pretty consistent season. I know there's been some players that win the Dally M and you can make a really good case they're not, one of the top players, but at least it shows you played a lot of games, you were pretty consistently one of your team's better performers, and, the Sharks were right up there. It's definitely.
And he won it by a pretty clear margin.
Yeah.
And with a pretty high score as well. So, it's very stupid. 31, Jeremiah Nanai.
I'm pretty happy with him here. What do you reckon?
I think that's about fair.
Yeah.
Number 30, Nelson Asafa-Solomona.
I'd have him a little bit higher. I think at times I think that this season one of the things was that he would cause problems for himself, giving away penalties.
Yeah, you know what? And for that reason, I put him in the 40 to 50 range.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think I'd like to see him have a much better season next season.
I want to see him play with some discipline, because if he did, he would be a top 5 player in the game, comfortably. But he lets that stupid shit creep into his game. And it ruins all the momentum, and it's damaging for his team as well. And I wish he'd just get rid of it, because it's ruining his reputation and what he could achieve as a player.
Yeah, 100%.
It frustrates me so much watching him play, because you just let him go on, I know what you can do. Why are you being a fuckwit? I had the same feeling for a long time about Jared Waerea-Hargreaves. Yeah,
and he has the potential to be the best front rower in the game.
Yeah.
And, he could very easily become just a guy that gives away penalties. And, I hope that he reins it in next year, because they need it at the Storm. They really need it.
Absolutely. 29, Patrick Carrigan.
Look, he's very good at rep level, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the consistently high performances at the Broncos are what I want to see. So I'm happy for him to be here right now. I think he's got the potential next year to be much, much higher. He was fantastic in the World Cup.
Absolutely.
But I think for now I'm happy with him at 29.
Yeah, I could probably have him a little bit higher, but I'm fine with him there.
Mm-hmm.
28, Matt Burton.
I feel like this is a little high.
I agree.
Okay, because there was all of that crap about the kicking game. I don't understand what that's all about, where the commentators act like.
It's funny
no
you
one's
say
ever
that,
put a
because the
bomb
small
up.
snippet that Buzz has got here is talking about his fucking kicking.
Oh, there you go. So weird.
All he's got's a big boot.
last year he was learning what it meant to be the main playmaker in a side by herself. And I thought that by the end of the year he'd made a lot of improvement. But yeah, I think this is too high. This is too high. I think he's in more about the 40s.
Yeah. I think, though, it comes down to the fact is I don't know what his ideal perfect position is at this stage. Like we were looking at him for a long time thinking he was definitely going to be a centre. And then his performances in the halves last year for Penrith made you go, hang on a sec. And then this year is like, he's sort of playing one position while standing in a different one. I kind of want to see him get nailed down to a certain position now while he's young and he's still got the skill set to make the maximum benefit out of it. And not have him flopping around between roles.
I think that, the thing to remember about him at the Bulldogs, though, is like, who else was there to target? It was basically you take him out and you're going to shut down the Bulldogs' attack. And I think that probably hurt him a lot this year. But at the same time, I also think it was probably a really good learning experience for him. He needs a halves partner. And I think Reid Martin, just at hooker, just having that extra point of attack will help him.
Oh, absolutely. He'll get the forwards on the front foot as well, so he'll have a bit more room to move there as well. It's going to be huge for him. 27, Jerome Hughes.
I think that's low on the list just for the fact that he's super, super competitive, and he's always one of those players that when you play the Storm, you have to overcome what he's doing. So I think this is too low for him.
Yeah, and I don't know, it still feels like he's underrated somehow.
Yeah, it's like he's not an elite halfback as you would normally think of an elite halfback. But in terms of having somebody in the number 7 that's a competitor, that's going to generally make the right decision, that has the ability to break the game open, like he ticks so many other boxes that you kind of think, well, he kind of is an elite halfback, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's got that. He's a bit of a weird combination. He plays this what they call eyes up footy an awful lot. So if something changes in the defensive line straight ahead of him, he abandons what he was going to do to exploit an opportunity that might be in front of him, which is something that Benji Marshall used to do an awful lot really well. That ability to flick between a genuine play and an opportunity that's just presented itself. None better than Jerome Hughes at exploiting that and taking advantage of those opportunities when they come up. I can't see a reason why he'd ever be outside the top 15.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that.
26, Dylan Edwards.
This is a tough one for me. I'd say I don't think so. I think I'd have him outside the top 50. Is that weird?
I think I'd have him in the 40s somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. His kick returns were a lot better this year. And that's
True.
kind of the thing you want to get from a fullback. I mean, thing is, though, with Dylan Edwards, it's not like it's a priority for him when you've got Brian Tuo making 700 kilometres per week.
Yeah, the other thing is, too, normally the opposition is kicking out from their own half, so you've got a lot of room to make up before you get to the defence.
Yeah.
The
other thing he did improve on, too, was his link work as a ball player. I think too much in the previous seasons, he just stood back and was playing more as a winger, like waiting to receive the ball when an opportunity was in front of him. He started getting better at being able to hold up a pass for a winger and create that little opportunity. Still got a bit to go there, but he did make some pretty good strides in that area. So he's become a very useful part of the attacking weapon on the edges.
I think he improved a bit under the high ball, which isn't so much. But yeah, I'd have him outside the top 50. I know people will be like, oh, he won the Clive Churchill medal and all that. And yeah, he played a great game in the grand final. But yeah, I'd have him outside the top 50 overall.
Number 25, Ola Kawatu.
I think this is about right.
Yeah.
As I said, I'd have had him in the New South Wales team this year.
Yeah, I'm fine with him being there. I think that's pretty much spot on.
Yeah, I thought leaving him out was a terrible decision, hey?
Oh, it's nuts.
Mm.
I put him in there straight away. 24, Mitch Moses.
I'd have him maybe as a top 40 player, not 24.
I would have him ranked outside Dylan Brown. Brown's better.
I think Brown's a better player overall, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that they've got they're both about the same in the big games. Remember that big performance Mitchell Moses put in the big game? No. That's what I'm talking about.
Number 23, Jareebria Hargraves.
What in the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
I kind of agree.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He was look, I'll say he was consistent.
Mm-hmm.
His discipline was very marginally better this year, but he's not a top 50 player this season.
No. Top 80 player maybe.
Yeah. I'd have Jackson Hastings at 23, to be honest.
Would you really?
Over Rhea Hargraves, absolutely. I'm not saying that I'd put him in this order, though. I'd have other people there, to be honest. But I'd have Hastings in here ahead of Rhea Hargraves.
Okay.
22, Ben Hunt.
Well, that's just too low. It's way too low.
The guy carries that Dragon side.
There's no one else there.
He plays 5'8", halfback and hooker every fucking week.
He's the only player that a team has to target, and he's still very difficult to stop.
He's insanely good.
Mm.
I don't get it. It's nuts. 21, Harry Grant. Like, what the fuck?
You know what? I think he's probably only a little bit too low. I thought he should have been better this year for the Storm.
Yeah, look, I would have expected more from him this year, but you know what? Even what he did produce made him a top 20 player.
I don't know. I just think I wanted more from him this year. Hey,
that's fair. Number 20, Jack Whiten.
No fucking way.
I agree. I do not see what so many commentators go nuts over Whiten for.
They kept on saying oh, he had such a great year for the Raiders. I watched the Raiders. He was abysmal for the Raiders for the most part.
I don't get it. He does play with a lot of energy. He's a very strong ball runner. As far as his ball running goes, very similar style and power as, say, Josh Dugan. Like, the power's all through the hips and the thighs. So when you go and try and tackle him low, like, good fucking luck. He's going to get through you. His ball playing and kicking game, they're coming along, but it's pretty steady. What is this, his third season as a half now? Fourth season? I kind of wanted to have come along a bit further by now. He's basically a glorified fullback playing in as a number 6 on his jumper. That's what he's doing at the moment. I'd rather, with his skill set he's got at the moment, being back at fullback. I think he'd be much better there.
I think his best position, when you consider where the game's at the moment and his size, I think it's centre.
It probably would be, but he's still got the space, the pace with him, and he does have enough of a, creativity about him to be a genuine attacking player at fullback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he ever should have left that role. I think it was nuts to move him to the 5'8".
He just doesn't have the skill set for it.
I don't think so, no. And it's something Canberra's been struggling with, has been their attacking game for the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
They've got enough in there to get wins, but when they were at their best, he wasn't at 5'8". He was at fullback.
Yeah.
I just love him at fullback. I reckon he'd be one of the best fullbacks in the game comfortably if he was there.
Yeah.
A rating. His ball running skills, his kick returns, absolutely. But I don't rate him that highly as a 5'8".
Yeah. I just to go by, there were so many games, especially early in the year, where he was dreadful for the Raiders. And he's definitely not top 20. I'd have him outside the top 50, to be honest with you.
Yeah, look, I'd have him around the 50 mark. 40s, 50s, somewhere around there. Number 19, Tino.
I think this is outrageously low on this list. I think he's a top 5 player. I watched him dominate games in a pretty poor Titans team. It's outrageous that he's this low.
He was definitely a top 10 player for me this year. He carried the Titans on his own. Very mature, very good motor on him. He's only 22.
It's crazy. It's
He's an
absolutely
absolute
crazy.
weapon.
And he's like, he's consistent and he does the grunt work. He does spectacular stuff. He's super athletic. He's easy top 5, easily.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player. Massive raps on Tino. I fucking love that guy. 18, Stephen Crichton.
I think this is probably about right.
Yeah, I'd have him a little bit higher.
Okay.
17, Valentine Holmes.
He had a really good year, hey?
He did, and I think that's about right too.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
16, Josh Adokar.
I think this is about right too. He was outstanding for the Bulldogs. Like, it's really weird seeing the way that people would talk about how he's playing this year, and it was clear they hadn't watched him play because he was great. He was absolutely great.
The one thing he developed since coming to the Bulldogs, and this is not a criticism because he didn't have to do this at the Storm, but since going to the Bulldogs, he goes looking for work. And when he finds it, he's developing skills to his game all year this year to make him an even bigger threat. He's now got some decent passing skills about him. Not to say he didn't have them before, but as a winger, you're not really required to pass that often.
Yeah.
He's learned how to do, kicks back in field, that sort of stuff. Judging those a lot better, weighting them better. Just everything about his game was improved this year. Phenomenal season for him.
And you could see he really wanted to take a leadership role too.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. So, and
kind of proved he wasn't doing this for the money either. Like he wanted to prove himself.
Yeah, and the fact that he was left out of the New South Wales side is outrageous.
Criminal.
Yeah.
15, Joseph Suwali.
This is way too high, and I'm a massive fan of his. I think he'd maybe crack the top 50. He had a great season. Not ahead of someone like a Toto, though.
No, God, no. I'd probably put him around 30.
Yep.
He started out pretty sloppily. I remember we had an episode where I was very critical of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came out after that episode, had a great game, and the rest of his season from that point on was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take credit for that.
It's basically all you. It's everything he achieves from now on is you.
Look, just give me 10%, mate. That's all I ask. I'm not greedy. Number 14, Junior Paulo.
I think when you consider how important he is to everything the Eels do, it's probably about right.
Yeah, look, I think he was definitely their best forward.
Mm.
There's no doubt about that. And
yeah, easy. Him and Papali.
Yeah, and took that form across to rep level as well, which is that's what you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
13, Kickow.
I think this is low. I think this is very low. I think he had a fantastic season.
He did have a fantastic season.
Especially in defence. He was great in defence.
Everything about his game was so much better this year. Even like last season, you saw glimpses on and off of it. This year, he was just consistently rock solid all year. Very reliable. Learned how to be a good decoy runner.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that changed things up. You got a bloke that size out on the edge and he's running a decoy. 3 defenders run in on him. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, and like you go back like, a little bit over a year now, and we're having discussions about like, would it be addition? And I was bringing it up. Would it be addition by subtraction if you let Kickow go? He went to a completely different level with his game this year and was one of the keys for them winning the back-to-back titles.
Absolutely, he was. Absolutely. Number 12, Liam Martin.
I think this is too high, hey? I think this is way too high.
Yeah, I would have had Kikau higher than Martin.
100%. Martin's a good hard ball runner. He's also one of those guys that will come out of nowhere and all of a sudden poleaxe someone, which kind of stands out in like the Panthers team because they, for the most part, they'll stand in their line and poleaxe someone anyway. So it's just it changes it up a little bit. But yeah, I'd have him maybe down in the 50s, I would guess.
Yeah, I like him. I'd put him in the 30s.
Okay.
Number 11, Cameron Murray.
I think this is a bit high. I'd have him in the 30s.
Yeah, look, I'd probably have him another. Yeah, I'd have him lower than this. Lower than this. I'd have him in the 20s somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I quite like Murray, but yeah, I think he was probably a little bit inconsistent at times this season.
Yeah, he'd have a lot of quiet games, huh?
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it was just South did struggle without Reynolds there, and I think maybe he was one of those players who struggled to find their place in the side and what their role was because everyone's roles changed when Reynolds left. Number 10, we're in the top 10 now. Isaiah Yeo.
Looking at some of the players ahead of him, maybe a little low. I think, you know,
because he plays in the forwards, he does do a lot of the hard work.
Mm.
And as much as he gets a lot of credit for the stuff he does now, I still think a lot of the work he does goes unnoticed, and he does a lot of work. I rate him ridiculously highly. I'd put him in the top 6 or 7.
Okay, I feel like he'd be one of those players that if you asked a lot of opposition forwards like who they hate playing against, and you would expect to hear other names, but he would actually be the one they'd say, and you'd say why, and they'd be like, because it's footwork at the line all the time. You can't get set on him, you know?
He doesn't stop.
Mm.
He just doesn't stop, and they're hard people to deal with. That was a great thing, actually, on a different note. That was a great thing about those player polls. You learnt who the players respected and feared, and a lot of the times they weren't big-name players.
Yeah.
Which was always fascinating. But yeah, it's I got huge raps on you. I love him. I love his work. Number 9, Joe Tapine.
I think this is way too high. You know, that I just go back to that game where, you know, they played really well against the Storm in the finals, him and Papali, and then you thought, oh, you know, what's going to happen next game, Parramatta, and they were nowhere. That really sticks with me. I'd probably have him in the 40s.
Yeah, I've probably got him around the 30s somewhere. He did have a very good season, but yeah, it does.
He did, yeah.
Did go missing when they didn't need him to. Number 8, Tormalolo.
This is a tough one. I'd have him a few spots higher.
Likewise.
He's like, it wasn't his best season, but having said that, for most players, it would be the best season of their career.
Exactly right.
And he's still doing things that you're watching him do, and it's like he has no right to have that footwork and, you know, be just a destructive force that he is.
Yeah, like you look at stuff he does and you go, what chance has society got?
Yeah.
Number 7, Fisher Harris.
I'd have him a couple of spots higher, I think.
I definitely would. I'd have him in the top 5 this year.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think it's like the leading front rower in the best forward pack we've seen for a very, very long time. hits like a truck, gets through a lot of work. Just name a better front rower than him right now.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Number 6, Latrell Mitchell.
I would probably say just a little bit back.
I'd put him at 10 only because he's been missing a few games.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me too. The missing the games.
It always takes him 1 or 2 games to get his feet back, which is completely normal, but has missed a fair few games, so I can't put him too much higher, and that's the only reason why. It's got nothing to do with his skill set or anything else. If we're going based purely on skill set, it's hard to put him outside the top 3.
Yeah, I agree. When he's on, he's one of the few players that just cannot be stopped.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how good your game plan is. Doesn't matter if you know it's coming. If he's on, it's just like, well, he's going to do this to us.
Yep. Number 5, Jerome Luai.
I think a lot of this probably changed due to his World Cup performance.
Yeah, I'd say if we separate the World Cup and take that out, I'd put him around 12, 13, 14, somewhere there. But his World Cup performance, mate, I don't know. I can't see how anyone was better than him in the World Cup.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I think based on the NRL season, keep in mind he missed quite a few games. I'd probably have him in the 20s.
Number 4, Cameron Munster.
Can't really argue with it.
I would have him at 2.
Okay.
Number 3, James Tedesco.
I think that's a bit high based on this season. I thought it was, and look, once you get into this point, it's like we're talking degrees here.
Right. I've still got him I'd still have him in the top 10.
100%. And it's like, for most players, if they had James Tedesco's season, it's the best season of their career. But I think that it's a little bit high for him. I'd probably have him. I'd have him in the top 10, maybe between 5 and 10.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Number 2, Joey Manu.
He had a damn good season, hey?
He did.
I don't know. Maybe a little high, but
yeah, I'd have him like 4 or 5, somewhere there.
Yeah, I'd have him in the top. I'd have him. This is going to sound weird. I'd have him in the top 6 for sure.
That sounds fine.
Okay.
And number 1, Nathan Cleary.
It's hard to fucking argue with it.
You can't. Like that's the one that's easy to do, I think.
Yeah, it's like, his goal kicking was spectacular. Yeah, he missed a bunch of games towards the end of the year because he was suspended, but playing halfback in the back-to-back premiers, ticked a lot of boxes to be number 1 on this list. And the players that he's ahead of, he beat everyone.
Yep, fully agree. I agree with you on that one, Buzz. But most of the other stuff is pretty cooked.
I always think that it's really hard to do a list like this. Like even I remember when they brought out the 100 top rugby league players in the first 100 years.
Yep.
And it, like, looking at the list, and you'd be like, it's almost impossible, And this is just that on a much condensed scale.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so moving on from there, we've got only a little bit of news. There's not much here. Mm-hmm. The one that won't go away, though, is the West Tigers are chasing Mitchell Moses.
Yeah, well, I just don't understand the way they're trying to build their club. And I don't think Mitchell Moses is the sort of player that you go all in on. Like, if you're looking for somebody that plays good for maybe a quarter of the season and hasn't actually won anything, well, then maybe you go after Mitch Moses.
Yeah, like you had a better halfback and you let him go. So why go chasing halves now? You had one, you let go of him. What do you do? Stupid.
I think that...
It seems that the Tigers are either caught between whether they get Mitch Moses' signature or John Bateman's. And I may have said it before, why are they chasing John Bateman, a bloke whose last venture to Australia ended him with getting homesick and going back home? Why are we trying to drag him away again? That to me sounds stupid.
Yeah, and like leading into the grand final starts causing issues. Like, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I have a feeling that Parramatta will do what Parramatta does, and that's overpay Mitch Moses to stay. And, you know, they could end up being on the hook for an astronomical amount if somebody at the Tigers decides that Mitch Moses is their big prize.
The only way they're going to get Mitch, I don't think Mitch Moses will go to the Tigers. No. I don't think he wants anything to do with the club anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
So if anything, if they were smart, they'd go after Dylan Brown. Let Parramatta play massive overs on Moses, and then chase Dylan Brown. Brown at the moment's got 8 or 9 clubs chasing him apparently. But I don't think the Tigers should be worrying about getting either of them. Their first priority is if they've decided they're sticking with Luke Brooks, then A, make him a 5'8", and put Dewey at 7, and make that work, and then build a forward pack around them so that even if they can't create something, at least your forward packs are not going to get out-muscled and they're not going to be conceding 40 and 50 points a game on a regular basis. Because that's what the Tigers need to be focused on, is stop the points being scored against them.
Yeah, so if I was running the West, or if I was brought into the West Tigers tomorrow, my priority would be to get rid of Luke Brooks any way I could.
Yeah.
And start again, basically, and then from there, just try and build a forward pack. You know, you'll come across a halfback that'll get the job done. But yeah, it'd just be to move Luke Brooks on, and I don't know how I do it. We keep on hearing every so often that he's going to go to Newcastle. That's probably off now, but
well, they've got Hastings.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, maybe you can get him up to the Dolphins or something. I don't know, but that would be what I would do. But they're so all in on him, it seems. It's really weird.
Yeah, they've made it clear that they want him to be a Tiger for life. So maybe they can make a deal with Castleford. Although I'd probably say that Castleford are a bit smarter than the West Tigers.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be many NRL clubs that would be interested in in Luke Brooks.
Yeah,
and I think it's more because he's too far gone in his career. Like, he does have, I've said it before, he does have the skill set. He doesn't have an ounce of organisational ability about him.
Yeah,
not an ounce. He barely communicates on the field. And that's hard to train to a bloke who's getting closer to 30.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's like
a lot of failure in his career. Like lots of losses, no experience at any big level whatsoever, at any rep level.
He's just never developed at all. Like,
that's
he's the same player he was when he came into first grade.
Yeah, he's still got this very good raw skill set that never got honed or worked on. And so it's an awful lot of time and effort that coaches have got to invest in him to, you know, hone it and make it useful and to make their team successful around him. And you're not going to make him an organizer. You just can't, because it's just not in his blood. I've been saying this back when Moses was still at the club. But Moses was always more of a 7 and Brooks was a 6. Moses talks all the time on the field. He's organising stuff all the time. And he doesn't run the ball as much, whereas Brooks is always running the ball. The Tigers had him backwards the whole time for years. And the only coach to see that was the wrong way around was the bloke they sacked this season.
It's so strange. That feels like so long ago to me. I feel like if somebody said, like, how long ago does it feel? I'd be like, oh, it feels like that was 8 years ago.
It was... Yeah, I mean every season is an age for the West Tigers fans.
It's weird. COVID feels like it took 5 years for us to get through. So strange.
Certainly added plenty of them onto us. But yeah, it's I think I don't think the Tigers should be chasing either Moses or Bateman. I'd rather they just hang on. If they've got that much coin hanging around where they could sign one of those two, I'd rather they hang on to it more than anything else.
Yeah. I think that one thing the West Tigers should avoid, like the plague, is signing someone from England because it just doesn't go well for them.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
people
the last time anyone involved with either of the three clubs, Balmain, West Magpies, and the West Tigers, signed someone from England that worked out, it was Ellery Hanley. And I mean, of course it was going to work out. It's Ellery fucking Hanley.
Yeah. That was easy.
You know, yeah. That's shooting one fish in one very, very small bucket. You're not going to fail there. You know, it's got to be that blatantly obvious for it to work for the Tigers.
Yeah.
They need to start working on who their halves are going to be for 2024, and that's what they've got to be working towards.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather Dewey as 5'8". I think he works better that way. I don't think I want him as a halfback, and Brooks needs to be gone. It's as simple as that. I've always been very honest and genuine about him. He's always had the skill set. We've seen it. More often than not, we see the skill set he has. But as a halfback, your skill set is 50% of your job, which means he's only half of a halfback. You know, the other half is organising stuff, getting things planned, you know, running plays, all that sort of stuff. He does none of that because he doesn't know how.
He's like a mime as a halfback, but he's not expressive at all. So he just does nothing.
He's just got white gloves.
Yes, yeah. So, and that's an issue.
Yeah. I don't know who would fix him, and I don't know that they could.
I think he's too far gone. Yeah. I said plenty of times this year, I'm completely out on him.
Yeah, I think his only option is to go to like Super League or Championship.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way he's going to, I suppose, look better with the skill set he has.
But he could be the player of the year in Super League.
He's got the skill set to do that, but the thing that works in England is they don't play, especially in Super League, they don't play with a set structure or plan for the entire game. It's for like 2 or 3 sets. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, and then if that doesn't work, well, we'll come back and we'll start over again, or we'll do something else. And there's no real focus on building sustained pressure.
Yeah.
You see it only with St. Helens' defence. Is there sustained pressure in any sense in the Super League at the moment in the last few years? No team's doing it with their attack. They're not doing it with any of their structures or systems or anything like that. It's just have another crack. Try again. Try this, throw it over there, do this, do that, and it's just chaos. And it's because of that chaos that they don't know how to handle pressure when it comes to really big games like World Club Challenges and World Cup games.
Yep. It's that's why you get players that go over there and that you think to yourself, oh yeah, that's probably the level for them, and they absolutely kill it over there. Yeah,
that's right. So maybe Brooks would be good over there. I don't know which team would take him though.
You never know, hey.
Hull FC?
Hull FC just consistently make the most fucked decisions you could possibly come up with.
I mean, that would be a good one.
So I can't see it being them. I don't know. I think he'd end up at Wigan or St. Helens, but so I know St. Helens is really high on their halves. I don't know why, but so it'd probably have to be Wigan.
I suppose, I mean, they have won 4 premierships in a row, so that's probably why.
Yeah, look, it's all relative. They're a small fish in a small pond, so.
This is true. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if there's any other news going around. Have a quick gander.
No, it's pretty quiet. But do you reckon next episode, King of Rugby League Awards?
I think we definitely have to do that.
Yeah. We will have a discussion on who we think will win those awards.
Mm-hmm.
That will be off the air when we do that.
Yes.
We don't like to telegraph it like the International Rugby League do.
You won't find out about it from a betting website.
No.
Even one as good as Palmerbet won't get these details.
We would also like to say that unlike the International Rugby League, this award is open to Australians.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. No, look, we'll open it up so that it'll be. Oh, geez, I just had a good idea off the top of my head there.
Oh, really?
We should do a King of Rugby League awards for Wales as well.
By the way,
short episode.
By the way, all of these athletes that aren't getting into the Welsh Rugby League system because they're going to soccer and they're going to rugby union. Well, the soccer team fucking sucks, and so does the rugby union team. So we can never hear that again.
That's true. Actually, speaking of Wales, I've got to ask, how's your wife Quiffany going?
I don't even know where that started. I had some weirdo, like, and this is like a couple of weeks ago now, had some weirdo, like, I don't even know what I'd been talking about, but it was about English Rugby League, and they come up with some giant scenario where they said, oh, he's just upset because his wife probably left him and she won't let him see the kids and stuff like this. And that's like, and it was just this pure projection by this person. It's like, I don't know if that's what they're dealing with in their life, because I'm not. Like, everything's good with me, but they just come up with this long-winded scenario that felt too specific, you know? And then
very specific.
Very, very specific. And then one of my friends took the piss out of that, and then you saw that, and then it just sort of grabbed a life of its own.
Yeah. She mentioned Quiffany, and I went, oh, there's a few F's and a Y in there. It must be a Welsh name, so I went with that. Your Welsh wife, Quiffany.
Tell you what, if she looked like Catherine Zeta-Jones, I wouldn't give a shit.
You wouldn't be doing a podcast right now, that's for sure.
No.
Where's Freaky? Oh, he's on the nest again.
But yeah, so that was very strange. It's been a real strange few weeks on Twitter. It's like, man,
it's a Musk effect.
Well, like, I thought everyone was leaving Twitter, and they're all still fucking there.
They're just doing their last minute, going absolutely fucking psycho before they leave. Burn the house down before we go.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Well, it was a good, solid episode, this.
Yeah. It's interesting to see, like, how few rugby league podcasts are still going, hey?
Yeah. There was one out there, actually, speaking of Buzz. It's the one that Buzz does with a few other guys from the Daily Telegraph.
Mm.
A few weeks ago, they were asking people, why were you blocked by Buzz, and do you want to get a reprieve? And if you look at the comments there, that is the best thread going around, because you just see everyone going on there talking about the reasons they were given. Some of them were the most lamest reply to a question, or are just criticising something that he wrote without swearing. Others are just blatantly just calling me a dickhead. And nearly every single one of them is saying, I don't want to be unblocked. Because they were going to do a whole segment on it and go through all the responses and see if they could get Buzz to unblock a few people. And next to no one wanted to be unblocked by him.
That's hilarious, hey?
So, if you want a bit of holiday reading, find that thread. I think it was Michael Carianis who started it up. But yeah, the replies are brilliant. Absolutely phenomenal.
It's
I got blocked after we complained about the play the ball rule back in 2018. I said something along the lines of, he said this play the ball rule is going to be the death of rugby league, and I said something along the lines of, it survived all of the misery and hatred from the media for all these years. I think it'll survive a few play the balls, mate. Blocked.
And he didn't like that, yeah.
I didn't say he was doing it.
I've never followed him. I always find people that have blue check marks, and look, it'll change now that Elon Musk has taken it over and he's going to change up the system. But for the most part, the people with blue check marks, they're just not worth a follow. They're just weird.
Unless your name is James Smith.
Yeah, James Smith is good. Yeah, he's a good follow. I'll follow him.
Yeah, that guy goes good.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fan of his. Alrighty, well, should we wrap this one up then?
Yeah, it's been a good episode.
Well, yeah, we've tidied this one up rather well. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you check us out on the socials, on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. I don't have to go through what the handles are. You know them all by now.
Mm-hmm.
I assume. I mean, not many of you follow us.
They should. Well, they follow me. They follow me, Andrew.
People stop following me. They're going. My follow account on Twitter's been going backwards pretty hard this last month.
Really? Wow.
I've lost like 40 followers or so.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
People don't
like what I do anymore.
I'm trying to lose followers. It's not fucking working.
You start doing whatever I'm doing then. I think it's just not tweeting.
Yeah, maybe
I've been busy doing actual work and shit.
Yeah. How dare you have a life? That's disgusting.
Ridiculous.
Mm.
I should know better by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure you follow us on all the socials. Give us a 5-star rating and a review on your podcast listening app. That'd be fantastic. And we'll wrap this one up. We'll catch you all next time.